even if you're going to submit a waiver to miss your second class cruise, you need to fill out the cruise form and turn it into Lieutenant Virgil before lab next Tuesday. Study hours started today. There are links up on Blackboard to log that, so make sure you're doing that. You should know if you're on study hours. Lab on Thursday is in class 100. Freshmen, you do not have to be there. And then we need some more volunteers for...
Two more right now.
2 more volunteers for fundraising the basketball game tonight. You're leaving here at 1700. Anyone?
There's no way everyone is busy.
Just kidding.
Who's gonna sit in their room and eat ramen noodles and watch anime?
Cartoon or what is it?
Yeah,
I hope
think
no
it is.
one.
Are you kidding? Seriously? Y'all are that busy.
Well, do you want to do it?
I have a son to take care of. Fucking volunteer people. Let's go.
Well, many have already been voluntold.
We'll do 2 more.
Anderson put his hand up.
And
I thought she was asking who was on full. Oh, okay.
he's already.
How many do you have?
I just need 2. So, Garden and Stewart, are you busy?
I got lab at 6 seconds. Not at 6
Oh, yeah.
seconds.
No, man.
Garden, putting your hand up. Manaki, what are you doing?
I was planning on studying, but I guess I can go.
Nope.
You need me to.
Thank you.
That was painful. Okay.
Time when youth involvement is affecting grades.
Wait, someone charged
Put that out there.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Alright, so this is Lieutenant Sean Wilmore, from California. He's out of kind of lake right now. There's pretty cool stuff to tell you all about that, but he's here to give you his experience about the EOD community and try and sway you to come join his team. I know the seniors and juniors, you already got your stuff figured out what you're going to do, but it's also good to know what the other communities do, so I'm going to learn a lot of stuff here. So I can better educate you too along the way. Hey, good afternoon, ladies and gents. Thank you for the introduction. My name is Lieutenant Sean Wilmore. I was commissioned at the NROTC San Diego State. There I got an engineering degree in aerospace. Done 2 deployments, one in the Middle East, one in Africa. Now I'm pretty much shore duty at the China Lake. So, I want to accomplish 2 things today. Pique your interest if you're interested in doing EOD. It's something that you haven't seen before. And also, too, for some of the other communities that are out there, more than likely, you're going to be working with some EOD folks out in the fleet, whether you're a Marine, aviation, anything like that. Because usually, if something bad happens with explosives, they're the ones that get called. So, we're going to start off with a quick video. With that video, it's going to give a real good overbrief of what the community is, mission sets, things like that. And then after that, we'll kind of go off with a video and talk about 2 other things. Slide, please. Should be able to click on that. Yep. You grab the lights.
Yes, sir. He's playing. Yeah, we got over there. Yeah.
was a natural jump from that point to go ahead and go through other mobility skills. And so we were some of the first ones that learned how to also parachute, so we could integrate with special forces and learn how to shoot weapons and go ahead and do small unit tactics, so we can integrate with those forces as well. Once you do that type of stuff, it kind of builds an ethos. If you're dedicated and you want to get through, you'll stay every night after, and it'll be nice that you'll come out Sunday and study all day, and you have to want it. So it's definitely a team effort, and you have to have that bond from each other to pull each other through. You want that type of character, somebody that falls off the horse and come back on. You can't be a guy that's out of shape and isn't good at running or wants to sit in the truck all the time. You gotta have a certain mentality to get out there and run and get ahead of guys. One of the stress course is to get guys doing routine items that you might have to do when you go down to an IED event. Whether that's putting on the bomb suit, whether it's operating the robot, whether it's taking an x-ray to see what's inside a package. Well, we want to go ahead and step that up a little bit because you need to be able to do these skills when you're tired, when you're cold, all of these things. So they get down to the end and they're going through and they're trying to remember, am I supposed to pull this handle? Am I supposed to wait this long to the 30-second or to the 1 minute wait time? Should I go ahead and put the suit on, and do I have this right piece on? Am I doing it fast enough? And so there's always that element of time along with it. It's real pretty competitive. One of the biggest reasons why I keep bringing this thing is camaraderie. We're running doubles, right? Double doors. Deal with these guys, you know that they've been through the same training that I have. When in that situation, they'll be able to handle it and safely execute as the trainings require us. There's that absolute trust and belief in the guys that are around you. When you have that, it's not hard to jump out of that plane. It's not hard to go and dive because you fully believe that the planning has been done. There's no one that will send one of their brothers or sisters in harm's way without doing the adequate planning and training and making sure that equipment's ready. That is really, to me, what exemplifies that EOD personality is that quiet professional that's just going to get the job done. They're not going to let you know how great they are, and they're going to move on to the next thing and just treat it as it's just another thing on my list. This is what you told me to do, so I did it, and I'm going to go ahead and do the next thing.
So I really like this video a lot. It goes over, all the different mission sets that EOD does, but it kind of really does a good job of detailing, who you're working for as an EOD officer, and that's the EOD operator. It's a very tight-knit community, and a lot of stuff we do is usually in two-man teams, off on your own, kind of away from the flagpoles, we call it. So it comes a lot of responsibility, a lot of professionalism, modesty, all those top things we look for. But to pull away from that, where exactly did EOD develop from? A lot of you are probably familiar with UDT, underwater demolition teams back in World War II. Draper Kaufman, big name, especially for if you guys, Naval Academy folks know who that is. For anybody, not just EOD or Spec War hopefuls, America's First Rocket, amazing book on leadership. He talks about Draper Kaufman and the accomplishments he did as a naval officer and as a human being in general. Recommend you guys look at that. So our current leadership, we do have Rear Admiral right now. He's a part of the TICOM called Naval Expeditionary Combat Command. And as of right now, we're also considered one of the smallest unrestricted line officer communities. You see up there roughly 400 officers. That means right now the SEALs are about 800, if that gives you guys a reference. Next slide, please. So who we are. The video did a pretty awesome job of talking about that. Next slide, please. So location. So if you do decide to go EOD, or if you're in one of these locations, you want to know about EOD assets available in that area, essentially here's where we are. We have, it's kind of split into two coasts, east and west, group 1 and group 2. From there you have 4 news stations of Rota, you go to Hawaii or Guam.
Next slide, please. Next slide. So as the video showed, we do maintain all of the mobility skills that are required by any type of SOF. What that does is it makes us integratable and makes us what's called a Stafford force multiplier. You guys can look that one up later. For those groups. So we do get all the diving stuff, which consists of scuba and Mark 16. There also are follow-on schools you can go to for different types of rigs. Next slide, please. Then, of course, you go to EOD school, become an EOD tech. This is probably going to be the most difficult school you go to in the EOD pipeline. It's ranked number 2 academic difficulty underneath the U school, and number 2 for physical fitness learning buds. Next slide, please. So follow-on schools continue with those mobility skills of free fall and static climb. You also can do some different types of robotics courses. This is a new one that we actually currently have. It's robotics. Essentially, it's like a Talon robot. It's pretty fun to drive around. Next slide, please. It's your first tour employment. Next slide. So, what type of jobs will you be doing as an EOD officer? It ranges a lot. It kind of depends on what's going on. So obviously, the one that kind of everyone knows about in Iraq and Afghanistan was the IED piece, response for IEDs. But we do a lot of stuff besides that, especially during peacetime. We do play a huge, huge role in MCM or mine countermeasures for the Navy. So the Navy EOD diver is the only one that's qualified to actually dive on an active mine. We do a lot of unique mission sets with chemical and biological and nuclear hazards. And then we still do integration with Spec War, ODA, and quite a few other different soft groups. Next slide, please. So here's a clip from Bomb Patrol Afghanistan. It's to show, it's corny, but kind of shows the IED piece a little bit.
You knocked the cord out, sir.
Actually, we just skip this video. I personally like it.
Huh?
I don't like it. It's so good. Alright. I don't know if you guys ever seen that show. It sucks. Okay, so if you decide to go EOD, this is what essentially you're looking at in your first couple of years. For you guys right now, you probably go EOD probably something about passing dive school, which I totally agree with. But essentially, it's designed pretty well on what the rest of the Navy is like. You're going to do your training. You're going to do 2 sea tours with a shore duty. From your shore duty, you're going to get qualified department head, and then you might go to some type of joint command, something like that. You might come back to a mobile unit, operations officer, XOCO, all the way up the rear admiral. So, I was talking about before with the training pipeline to become an EOD tech. You start off with the Joint Diving Officer course now, which actually is a new thing. That's not what I went through. So, what that is actually a 6-month program where they turn you into what's considered a diving officer. So you actually get scuba Mark 16, you do hard hat diving, and actually your enlisted folks will just do the Mark 16 scuba, like a 2-month course. So once you finish that, you then go to EOD school, go to jump school, expeditionary combat school where you get a basic shooting package, some land nav, then you go to tactical training where you actually do a first task. You get another shooting package and some more higher level land navigation. And then you go to your first mobile unit. Next slide, please. So who we're recruiting? We're looking for, the type of individual that shows really, really strong leadership qualities. that's physically fit, that's smart, but more than likely, the kind of thing I want to push to the guys who are looking to do this type of job is that your job is not to actually, you definitely could go down there on that IED, but to train your guys, to bring them home safely to their wives, to their kids, who are actually going to be doing that. And really kind of caring about the small knit team, but also too, with our community, I definitely consider it a Shark Tank. So when you show up and you get your first platoon of guys, they're all going to be the same age as you or older. Most of them have college degrees, college degrees smarter than what you learned. So you have to really earn their respect through your actions, through your attitude. So don't show up thinking that, hey, they have to obey me because I'm wearing a gold bar on my shoulder. Not the case. When it comes to physical fitness, some of you guys did PST this morning. I got to experience that. It's a good note for anybody who's looking to do EOD or spec war, but in general for anybody who's kind of, has an officer in the Navy, because more than likely you're going to have a sailor sometime down the road who's going to be interested in becoming a diver or EOD tech or doing spec war, and this PST is going to come up. Essentially what it stands for is physical screening test. It's just like a PFA, except they had 500-yard swim and pull-ups. But that's something that we'll have to finish getting packaging. Competitive scores right now for officers are, if you combine the run and the swim, it has to be underneath 18 minutes. Push-ups, sit-ups have to be 100 plus. Pull-ups, 20 plus. Next slide, please.
So right here, the top score for fiscal year 15 was 835 swim, 110 push-ups, 102 sit-ups, 26 pull-ups, and an 808 run. And those were also probably done on the actual EOD cruise itself, which they scrutinized really, really bad. So when I combine, for the push-ups, for example, the first 50 were done in series with everybody. So it's up, down for 50. Then they said go after that. So imagine doing that and trying to get 100 push-ups. Pretty difficult. Next slide, please. Let me see this one. Okay, so how do you apply? So if you do have interest in doing this, essentially talk to your naval science instructor. They have resources online and usually contacts like myself that can get you guys on the right path, getting a package for them. Take your PST, obviously. That is the #1 factor that they use to either push packages off the table. If you don't meet those physical screening standards, as I said before, you're not even eligible. Because they don't want a guy that's going to fail physical fitness wise at school or is suffering and not leading the pack when it comes to going through classes. Go to an EOD summer cruise. Highly, highly recommend doing this. It does act as a double-edged sword. If you do poorly, they're going to put an X next to your name. You're not going to be picked up. If you do well, you're going to get a nice little green check mark, and more than likely you're getting picked up. So I know that scares some people, but if you do get that X next to your name, it's more likely for a pretty good reason that you're just not fit for this job. The guys who are going to be screening you have done multiple deployments, combat deployments. They're basically screening their future bosses. So there's usually a good reason for that. And you, of course, tell the board in September, and then you'll be notified of your results by your naval science instructor. Next slide, please. So here's our ethos. It's actually relatively pretty new. This got pretty much put in stone when I graduated EOD school. You guys can actually look that up online. It's on the Bluebird's public website. Next slide, please. So any questions you guys might have? Go for it.
Sir, is it the same with this SOAS or SEAL summer cruise where if you don't get picked up for the summer cruise, you don't get picked up for the ability to population?
No, that's not the case. So if you don't get the cruise for some reason, there's only a limited amount of spots that are available. If you don't get it, it's not the end of the world. But it doesn't give the community that they want to look at you for. So, but it's not the end of the world.
On the SEAL side, I'm pretty confident it's a prereq. You need the SEAL.
Oh, you do need it?
Yeah. For the
Okay.
SEAL crews, you need to have, you go SEAL, you need to have SEAL crews. They won't even look at your package.
Alright, so corrected.
EOD is.
Any other questions? Yeah.
Sir, do you have any advice for people who are interested in doing any of this special operations, whether it be EOD or SEAL? Any general advice?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I've worked with a lot of those folks. I don't know if you guys know about Denver, SEAL Team 6, whatever they call it. I work with those folks as well. You know, those guys are, they're hard chargers, and they take their jobs very seriously. And you know, they're also really good personality-wise. They're very relaxed. They care about their people a lot. You know, it's the basic qualities that they talk about, you know, in your naval science courses, leadership, stuff like that. As long as you do those, and you know, you're physically fit, and you care about the guys and gals, there should be no issues. Yep. Hey, you grow a beard. You grow a beard?
Try, sir.
Keep working on it. I think it's important. Any other questions?
I can't grow a beard. I grow one hell of a beard though.
Nice.
It's bad. I got some pictures, man. It's gross.
Anybody have any officer questions? Just like the commissions, fleet, anything like that? Yeah.
Sir, I know you were talking about how you have to earn their respect, but I mean, how does it compare, like physical training wise? Are you expected to outperform them
Yes.
in almost every category then?
Pretty much. You should be in the front of the pack. You're gonna have some guys come in, man, that are like freaks of nature, like superheroes. So no, they want you to be in the front of the pack, but physical fitness wise, you shouldn't get to the point to where you're having the poor me attitude and thinking about yourself. You should be strong enough to where you're able to carry yourself in those events and then carry the guys around you. Because essentially those guys are looking for leadership. And they're looking for you for inspiration. So if you're at the front of the pack, you know, lead by example, you know, they're gonna follow right behind you. So if they don't have an officer that can do that, that's in the back because he can't run, or he's failing sit-ups in EOD school, it doesn't look very good on the community in general, and it doesn't earn the respect of the guys and gals at all. So, some good notes for that. Any other questions?
So are there any books that you would recommend reading?
Yeah, America's First Frogman is a good one. There's a few kind of like, there's not as many EOD books out there as there are like spec war books, but some of those are really outdated, you know, back in like the 80s, so you read them, you don't really get a lot of information out of them. I would say, you know, reading things on, you know, leadership and management, professional development books, those will probably be the most helpful, you know, when it comes to doing this job. I can't think of any specific ones off the top of my head. I do like America's First Frogman is an awesome book. I think everyone should read that one, no matter where you're going to be to. And yeah, so. Yeah.
So what's the biggest lesson you've learned thus far in your career?
Biggest lesson, like leadership wise, or
Yes, sir.
leadership wise? Yeah, you know, one thing I did after my first deployment was I had a guy that was same age as me, he a principal, as I did with everybody on the team. We got into country and he pulled some really shady stuff. He stole a vehicle and was driving to different locations and stuff like that, and you know, doing some drugs on the side. But which happens in any community, doesn't matter if it's EOD, SEALs, you're always gonna get some bad apples. But I think some of the choices I made, I gave him a lot of slack because he was my friend, which I probably shouldn't have. So, you know, when it comes to that role of being dad or mom as an officer, you really kind of got to go that high road. You know, it's going to make the guys mad. It's going to make you look like an ass, but it's for the better of the sailors, for the better of the community. So I think with that need, I just didn't play that role soon enough. But long story short, he ended up getting kicked out of the Navy and he's no longer a Navy tech. But it's difficult in that situation because you know the guy, you know his family and stuff like that, but you have to make sure that your choice is best for him, it's best for everybody else. So. Any questions? Okay, thank you guys for your attention. I can give the Naval Science instructor my contact information. If you guys have any questions later on following this, happy to answer them. Thanks.
Sir, on behalf of the Cyclone Battalion, I'd like to thank you for coming out here and enlightening us on the DoD community, but also conducting PST with us this morning. So I'd like to present to you this NRC challenge point that you can take with you.
Cool. Awesome. Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
You guys ready to go? Go on. Just kidding. Go to basketball game.
Basketball.